everyone, thanks for tuning into the Lucid Sight Collective Podcast. Today we'll be talking about parallel universes and the possibility that we're able to tap into them through our dreams, and also possibly be able to shift into these parallel universes. We also start our dive into quantum physics and the multiverse theory, and the concept that everything you could ever imagine already exists. And this idea is especially interesting when we apply it to our dreams. So I know right off the bat that a lot of people are instantly just going to disregard this concept or not think that it's plausible in any way. But when we think of the sleeping state as a different realm, it's almost a bit easier to understand that while we're in this realm, we have greater access to other realms that are closer to this plane of existence. And it's almost kind of like a psychedelic experience in a way, a dream is. We get to envision these super complex visions and storylines and lives where we can experience our own psyche's worst fears and insecurities, and we're faced with our own past trauma, but also things that have not and will never happen to us. And you guys know how weird dreams are, but we don't need psychedelics for this. Our bodies and minds and souls, they naturally give us this experience. And some people have no remembrance of this realm at all, even though they visit it every single night. But those who remember their dreams most every night know the feeling that you have peered into a different version of yourself or another life. And this could be physical, but to me, it feels like more of an informational plane where we get to tap into and are given access when we enter this plane or realm of sleep. So this concept that we're going to be talking about today is heavily discussed in quantum physics, which is a really, really broad subject. We'll probably talk about it more in the future, but one of the things that they talk about and discuss is the concept that if you can imagine it, then it already exists. And when we connect this to the multiverse theory, it shows us that if the universe is infinite, this reality is infinite, there are an infinite number of parallel realities, parallel universes, whatever you want to call them, then anything that anyone can ever possibly imagine either has already happened, is happening, or will happen in one of these realities. And this concept is pretty hard to wrap your mind around, but so is the whole infinite nature of the universe in itself. Like, we can't imagine that, and we can't quantify that number in our head. It's unimaginable. And this isn't even the craziest thing that quantum physics suggests. It claims to have scientific proof through experimentation that reality is what you make it. And we see this through things like the observer effect, where what you think will happen actually influences what does happen. And the simple act of observing and paying attention to something actually changes the outcome of what will happen. Oh yeah, and reality itself isn't actually real at all. So yeah, quantum physics is a really fun topic to talk about. And like I said, we'll dive in deeper later because it's a very broad field, but I definitely recommend learning more about this on your own time because it is a world in itself, like most things, but especially this. And another reason that I just really love quantum physics in general is because it acts as kind of a bridge between metaphysics and science, and it's finally giving validation and credibility to ancient mysticism and spirituality and Vedic wisdom and so on. And its findings are almost mirroring the knowledge that they had in the ancient world. So I find that to be really intriguing, and that's kind of what draws me to the subject. But yeah, this is a really complex topic, so I recommend you guys do your own research on it. But yeah. But it does make sense if there are an infinite number of realities and universes, then everything that could ever happen either has or will happen. So this could be like realities that are almost indistinguishable from our own, just slightly different. There's probably thousands, millions of these realities. Never mind, you can't use numbers to quantify this stuff. But there's also even more that are completely like you can't even comprehend. You can't even begin to comprehend what they would start to look like. And this concept to me becomes so mind-blowing when you apply it to fantasy and sci-fi writings and movies. All of the creative worlds that people have made up in their minds, they might actually exist in some alternate reality. And this is a little bit easier for us to wrap our minds around because we've actually seen this, and it's easier for us to imagine that those realities could exist than some reality that like we can't even fathom, where they don't breathe oxygen, or they don't eat food, or like it isn't like a carbon-based life form at all. Like that, we can't imagine that because we only know carbon-based life forms. And some people actually believe that we can shift into these slightly different realities or timelines by harnessing our thoughts and projections and energy, and that you can actually jump into a more favorable or a less favorable timeline. And I don't know if I personally believe it, but I think that if it is possible, I think it's definitely possible, but if it is true, then I believe that we're all doing it all the time without even realizing that it's happening. And when you think of this, it's a crazy thought to have. And it's also kind of a scary thought to have too, because you don't know if your past lines up with the world that you're in right now. You don't know if these people around you are the same people that you knew before. It's all a very iffy and malleable world that you're living in. And you don't know if from one point to the next if you're going to stay there or go somewhere else that has different potential. So yeah, this theory is like really mind-blowing to me. I don't know if I personally believe it, but the more I live, the more I'm starting to take it seriously. But some people really do believe that we can shift or jump into these slightly different realities by harnessing our thoughts and projections and energy, and you can actually jump into a more favorable or a less favorable timeline. And there are some that believe that this is a real skill that can be harnessed and mastered, just like lucid dreaming. But it's also something that can happen unconsciously as well. A lot of people think that this is the explanation for the Mandela effect, where like a large group of people, like a significant amount of people, remember something being different, and like it's changed. Like they could have sworn that something was like this in the past and it's not anymore. There are a lot of possible explanations for the Mandela effect, but I don't know, this one applies to the episode. But if you guys are interested on this topic, definitely do your own research, because there's a lot of crazy stories, and yeah, you've probably experienced the Mandela effect as well, maybe without even realizing it. But if you look up like some of the most common ones, then you'll probably see like what I'm talking about, where most people have probably experienced the Mandela effect. And yeah, a lot of people think that the cause is this like subtly shifting timelines without even really noticing. I've actually thought about this a lot and entertained this idea. I don't know if I personally believe it, but I think that if it is possible, that we're probably doing it all the time without even realizing that it's happening. This kind of concept is something that I'm starting to believe more and more as I'm like paying attention to what's happening around me. Like you start to notice more like I guess they call them glitches in the matrix, like random things spawning out of nowhere or like things that change like shape or color, when you look away and then look back at it. I don't know. This has shown up in a lot of different ways in my life that I'm like, what? Like when you pay attention, you're like, I know I saw that. Like what was that? What just happened? And I don't know, like entertaining these theories, I've definitely taken them more seriously as of lately. Yeah, just because of the things that I've seen in my own life. And I think that as you pay closer attention and are just like more aware and conscious and also aware of these theories that like they're even things that people experience and believe actually happen, yeah, you really get clued into like these random events that happen like in normal day-to-day life. Like I don't know, one time me and my cousin were in the car, we were like at Walmart, we were randonauting, if you guys know what that is. I might do an episode on that. But we were like watching this car because it kept circling and circling, and we were in the parking lot and like it was just like circling around these like this little like car strip, and it would like come in front and then it would go behind these cars, come back out in front, go behind these cars, and there was nowhere for it to get out. And we were just like watching it circling for the longest time, and we were talking about it, and then all of a sudden, like when the car came back around, probably like the fifth or sixth time, it was the same color, same kind of shape of car, completely different model of car, and like I don't know, like Honda, whatever, Toyota, I don't know what that's called, but completely different car, different tires and like rims and stuff, different people in the car. But like if you weren't paying attention, you definitely wouldn't have noticed that. But we both saw it, and like my cousin is a mechanic, so like she pays attention to cars, and we both instantly just looked at each other and we were like, what the like that's not the same car. And it was only out of view for like a couple seconds tops. But yeah, that's something that if we weren't paying attention to that, there's no way we would have noticed. And this happens all the time to me, like, especially as I'm paying attention to it more, it will show up in my life. Like, I'll notice small things, and it kind of makes you feel like you're going crazy. But there's a lot of like videos out there too, if you guys look up glitch in the matrix and stuff. And some people think that it's this like shifting of realities, but there's a lot of different theories for it. But yeah, I just think it's a really interesting topic to think about, and it's super trippy, but yeah, it's really fun to think about, I think. There's also a theory about deja vu that states that the feeling of deja vu occurs when the timeline that you're on lines up with an alternate reality. So the things happening to you in one reality are also happening in the other reality at pretty much the same time. So when you feel like you've already experienced something or been somewhere before, it's because you already have. It was just a different version of you in another reality, because we're connected to all of the versions of ourself in a very subtle way. And I thought that this was a really interesting explanation that I really like to entertain, because I personally get really intense deja vus where most people, when they get deja vu, it lasts like maybe 5 to 10 seconds tops. But when I get deja vu, it lasts minutes long, like up to 2 or 3 minutes. And it doesn't sound like a long time, but when you're in the deja vu, it is intense. Like, and it feels like an eternity to have every little tiny thing, every little gesture, every sound, like visually, and like all of the words that people are saying to you, like you've experienced that before, like up to like getting the hiccups, or like it it is really crazy to experience. Deja vu is a really interesting topic to me. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't found an explanation for deja vu that feels right to me, but I think that this is definitely noteworthy, and this theory has made me think a lot. So, you guys already know I'm going to apply this to dreams and say that if this is true, all of your dreams are real and you're actually tapping into or experiencing parallel realities. Sometimes, like, this is more vivid than others, but technically, if this is true, then all of your dreams could be tapping into these parallel realities. Which, I don't know about you guys, but to me, that is an indescribable thought, because I have had some weird and sometimes fucked up dreams, but also some of the most magical and blissful things that I could have ever imagined in my dreams. Like the dreamscapes that my mind creates or my soul is transported to. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to think about that. But it is an indescribable thought regardless. Like the good, the bad, and the ugly. Like, I don't know, guys, but that is a crazy thought. That's all I can think to say. I personally do believe that we can tap into parallel realities through our dreams. I don't necessarily think that this happens in every single dream that we have, but during REM sleep, your brain waves are your brain is acting pretty much the same way that it acts when you're awake. A lot of people think that your brain goes to sleep when you're sleeping, but it's not. It's active. It has a lot of things that it does at night, and it pretty much acts like it's awake. So it's not super far off to say that we're experiencing the things that we're seeing. And our brain is really working to tap into this window, into these alternate realities. While dreaming, even though it may very well all be in your mind, you don't have to give that up. But even though what you see, feel, smell, and interact with is a fabrication of your mind, even if that is true, it doesn't necessarily mean that it isn't a window into another reality. The multiverse theory, or the theory of many worlds, essentially, when you boil it down, it states that every time a particle interacts with another particle, a whole new universe is created. And this would leave an infinite, or at least as close to infinite as we can get, parallel universes happening at the same time. And there's actually a good amount of scientists and researchers out there that believe that we can and do peer into alternate realities when we dream. And of course, nothing is really definitive, but there are a lot of people talking about it and trying to conduct valid research to learn more. Because, like I said, quantum physics does suggest that this could very well be possible. And you don't necessarily have to think of this as like you're teleporting yourself into these other realities. It's your dreams are just acting as like a window for you to like see into this possible universe or scenario. And some scientists theorize that it could be like memories of yourself in another reality. I also think you can have like premonitions of yourself in another reality too, just like through personal experience. I don't know anyone's talking about that. But it would make sense because quantum physics also says that time itself, like linear time as we know it, it doesn't exist. It's just an illusion, and that everything is happening actually at the same time. So I don't think it would be too far off to say that you can tap into a parallel reality and see your future self in another timeline. But yeah, this is a really interesting topic to talk about, but obviously it can't necessarily be proven yet, but a lot of people have experienced this. And like I said, quantum physics suggests that this is true. And I think it definitely could be possible. Yeah, but this is a super interesting topic, and it can't really necessarily be proven yet, but a lot of people have experienced this, and we can never really know for sure, but I personally find this to feel true to me, especially in certain dreams. Sometimes it really does feel like you're transported to a different place, and also other times it feels like your brain is just creating it for you, but other times it really does feel real. So yeah, guys, I'd love to hear your stories if you guys have ever experienced this before, or you feel like you've kind of been given a window into a different reality. Yeah, I'd love to hear your stories, so send me messages. You can message me on Instagram through lucid.sight.co. It's not collective, it's just co. But yeah, please send me messages. I'd love to hear like any dream stories that you guys have had, or like anything that sparked your memory, like from episodes that you've listened to before. Yeah, I'd love to do some listener stories episodes. So please send me messages because I can't do that without you guys. But yeah, I think that's it for today, and thanks for tuning in again. I will talk to you later, guys. Have a good one.